Running Up the Score.
You're listening to the Running Up the Score podcast. Now here's your hosts, Jerry Napoleonello and Kevin Donlin.
But we go from one team that, actually two teams that are at the top of the league. And now we start talking about some of the bottom teams. Just because, we are in the New York, side of things.
Here we go. Yay.
We got it.
Who do we got first?
Let's
talk first.
Let's talk about the embarrassing Giants.
I have no right to call any other organization embarrassing. But nonetheless,
actually, Jacksonville's still in the league, so and
the New York Jets.
All right, but let's talk about the Giants first. Giants, embarrassing game again. But let's talk about what we saw that made it even more embarrassing. They tried a fake punt.
Yeah, no, I saw that. Obviously, the game was well in hand at that point, 27-7. I'm pretty sure everyone knew the Chargers were going to win that game. For the New York Giants, they have a lot of problems. It's funny because you had Giant fans telling me Daniel Jones was the problem, and no,
not even close.
No, he's not. Unfortunately, right now,
but we've been saying that for how long now?
Now, granted, but see, that's where the Giants got to do this right, as opposed to what the New York Jets have done over and over and over again. Drafting a quarterback at this point now, when you're not sure about Daniel Jones and what to expect, it's okay to draft a quarterback in this league, especially in this draft in particular. I don't think there's really anyone with an extreme amount of height.
No.
You can learn from someone like Daniel Jones and see what you got and then be able to have options at that point. Right now, I feel like for the New York Giants, it's Daniel Jones or bust.
Well, they got one more year of him. Basically, that's on contract.
But
I think you have to play that out.
But this is a year that you need to have a quarterback just in case things don't go as north as you want them to. You don't want them to. You want them to be really, really high up. But if they end up not being great, there's a lot of question marks for the New York Giants, and you don't want to force yourself to take a quarterback at a certain point of the draft. So, for the New York Giants, I think it's more than one problem right here. I think the pass rush needs to be better.
They need everything.
I'm saying there because there is more, and there's a lot more.
Offensive line.
But the most imperative things I would say is the offensive line and defensive line. They need to be revamped. You got 2 picks, potentially top 10s. I think you need to answer both those questions. I think it's an offensive lineman and defensive lineman. That's just my personal opinion. I think that secondary with the New York Giants is very good. They're anything but embarrassing. They played great all year long. That Giant defense is no slouch. It really isn't. They've been great for the most part all year. The pass rush has just been awful. So it really just credits the secondary that much more, just based on the fact that they haven't gotten any kind of a rush all season long. But for the New York Giants, there's a lot of problems. I mean, the fake punt, that's just at that point, Joe Judge just trying to, take his, put his hand in the magical hat and try to pull out a miracle at that point. But the game was well in hand at that, at that stage. I don't really put this on Joe Judge at this point. The last 2 games, I wouldn't. The first, the first 10 before that I did. But obviously the last 2 in particular, I don't put on Joe Judge at all. But right now he's got to see that he's in the hot seat. I mean, it makes sense. Here we are in year 2. Nothing has changed. The team is still beat down. Saquon Barkley can't find a groove. That's really on you. You need to have a good blocking scheme at that point. I put the same thing. I say the same thing about Robert Sell. I mean, we'll talk about both New York teams. Might as well make this the New York time.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the New York Giants and Jets both deserve their own section right now. I mean, and it's not to be mean or anything. It's just the concept of how
we could call it the New Jersey section.
Whatever you would like to call it. That's fine with me.
I mean, to be honest with you, so I think it'll be a failure for the Giants if they keep Joe Judge. Only because, like we said, Gettleman's not going to be there next year.
Yeah, you might as well fire the entire.
You have to, this is not something because it's not going to get better next year. So you're only going to fire Joe Judge next year.
Yes.
And that's the issue. When it comes down to it, because this is now you're going to bring a GM that did not bring Joe Judge in. And that's where the friction comes, because that's what happened with the Jets. We saw that easily. And you know, the funny thing is that these guys share the same building. I almost cursed there. They share the same building. So you would think that you would learn from the mistakes of the team that is in the same building. Okay, you know, we had the whole same thing with Joe Douglas and Adam Gase, and you know, it's not something that you want to deal with.
Well, some can argue.
Cut your ties with Joe Judge.
Yeah, but some can argue that even the building, like,
is not good.
Is not good either. No. So it's not just the teams playing.
Well, I mean, compared to
the building sucks too. I mean, it's
just a side note, and I'm actually going there Sunday. But
you're actually going to go there?
Yeah, I am.
Wow. Why?
Unfortunately.
Why?
Well, I gotta see the boys.
Sorry, I had to ask why multiple times on the basis that I'm just mystified as to why you would go there.
Well, yeah. Well, the Cowboys are in town, so.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, there's a.
But I mean, like when I went to AT&T Stadium. Now I've only been to the old Meadowlands and MetLife before ever going to AT&T. So really all I knew was MetLife. And it's really nothing fabulous. You know, you would think that a new stadium in the recent, 10 years, would be decent. And then when you look at the price that they paid to build this stadium compared to the prices of other stadiums, and I go to AT&T. Now, MetLife is more money. They spent more money building that stadium than Jerry Jones did on AT&T. And I went to AT&T, and I was like,
isn't there like a Six Flags over there too and everything?
Right, yeah. It's all in the same strip. And all in the same strip. So it's Six Flags. Now, this is a side note. Six Flags, then it's the Texas Rangers stadium. Actually, both their stadiums, Arlington and the other stadium, are back-to-back, really. Mm-hmm. Then they have this big hotel / restaurant / mall type thing right in dead smack in the middle of the two baseball stadiums and AT&T Stadium. So it's all in one strip: Six Flags, Texas Rangers, the mall, and AT&T. And I mean, first of all, the stadium is gigantic. And you get closer to the stadium, and it feels like it gets bigger. And then you have your ticket, and you have to go to the gate. Obviously, you know, you go to the gate that it says on your ticket. But in other stadiums, you can go to any gate and walk in and then just walk around. You can't do that at AT&T. You have to actually go to their gate that you're going to be sitting at, and that's where you basically get your tickets scanned. So you walk in, and now when you go through the ticket, you're still outside of the stadium, but technically you're inside the stadium. So you already handed in your ticket, but you're still outside. So they have a stage. They had a whole big like tailgate type thing. They had people singing. They had all these pop-up shops. They had bars. All this stuff outside of the stadium. Then you walk in the stadium, and we did the day before we went to the game. We went and did a stadium tour, and I mean the place is just unbelievable. We got to go on the field, and I just thought to myself, I was like, why would I ever want to go to MetLife? Why? And I just had friends actually go that are Giants fans. They actually went to AT&T, and they said the same thing. It's unbelievable there. It's really a whole different.
It's not even a good comparison.
No,
it's funny because they spent more money, and obviously it's because they wanted.
They're in
more
the top four.
They wanted more seats,
spent.
and they wanted it's because they wanted to make.
But meanwhile,
money.
AT&T has more seating than MetLife does.
Really?
Yes.
That's
AT&T, well, technically,
I know, yeah,
with
it's like
standing room,
it's kind of like it's not it's below sea level. I've heard all.
They
about
have
it.
over 100,000 seats.
Yeah.
So, or they have 90,000 seats or something like that. But with
the point
standing
is
room,
that this both teams playing in this building as well as the building are both garbage, and
not to mention there's no roof on it.
Yeah, and then you're talking about well, I mean, obviously, I'm a big fan of that. I actually don't like. Taking away the weather increment.
No,
of the game.
I'm fine with that, but
I
a
think
retractable roof?
Yeah,
you know,
would have been smart. But,
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's stuff. The thing that, like, that's the stuff that you got to think about, because the same thing with the Mets
that's the thing.
and the Yankees
That's
too.
not money going into either one of our pockets. So
No,
I
I know.
Even, that's
Yeah,
not
no,
even.
I-
I mean, that's just a dumb move on someone else's part. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, we look from now and in hindsight and everything, and we continue to laugh at it. But I mean, obviously, it's not my money lost, so
Yeah.
I could care less. So, but I know what you mean. Obviously, both teams in this building right now need to play better. Obviously, Zach Wilson going out is ranked as one of the worst quarterbacks in the league right now. 32, to be honest, folks, in the ranking that we're going to be talking about later on. Mike Glennon obviously not far behind. Daniel Jones not far behind that. It's been a disaster in New York. I think all fans in New York can agree that we're just really interested at what time the draft starts as opposed to actually when it is. Like, I don't need to know. Just give me the time.
Well, as of right now,
Because that's the only care.
As of right now, the Giants are the Jets are 4, Giants are 5 and 6, Jets are 7, and then the other team that has 2 picks is the Eagles, 10 and 11. So at one point they were all together. It was like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
But again, there's a lot more of the season to go. I mean, obviously Seattle's got the Rams this week. Let's go. Need the Rams to pull off a win there for the Jets standpoint. But obviously, as we continue to progress in New York with football, and obviously football is such a demanding sport. Like, I want to be good all the time. I don't ever want to have years like this. And unfortunately, I'm having a couple in a row. And it's unfortunate, but patience is.
I have a question for you. So I heard this actually listening to the radio, and again, this is another side note. But would you rather? And this is kind of on the standpoint of the Giants. Would you rather win a Super Bowl and be bad for the next 10 years or so, or be good for 10 years and not win a Super Bowl?
I'd rather the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's what I think. I feel the same way. But
I
mean,
just want to win it all at one time, and then that's it. At that point, I wouldn't really.
But when it comes to the Giants, all right, so they won 2 Super Bowls so far in our lifetime. But every other year, other than their Super Bowl years, they've been pretty bad.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Recently, of like the last 10 years, they've been really, really bad.
Well, it's been fortunate for Jet fans because they would obviously be lighting us up with jokes.
Well, the Jets haven't
really
won
a
Super Bowl, and
no,
they've been
not.
bad for that long.
Yeah,
so it's
no, absolutely. I understand, but the jokes obviously can't be that effective when you're playing the way you are as well. So the New York Giants have their own issues as much as the New York Jets, and I think both need to figure it out. It starts with the quarterback for both teams, and right now the quarterback play for both teams has been questionable all season long, but based on the rest of the team. I mean, you need a good O-line here. You know, these other teams have been more inclined to, just develop their teams and get better year in and year out. Watching the Colts, for example, and then even watching Tampa Bay, a lot of these guys they have now are very new. They're new, good draft picks that Tampa Bay has been able to make. The Jets just got to follow suit. They got to find the right draft picks at this point, and right now, it seems like some of the people they've drafted just aren't playing as well.
For more Running Up the Score, go follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at RUTS Sports.